Welcome to Tom's Messiaen vlog, episode 2. Livre de Saint-Sacrement. It translates as the Book of the Holy Sacrament, and all 18 movements are concerned with the Holy Sacrament, with communion, with the Eucharist. Messiaen, lifelong committed Catholic, this was something of great personal and spiritual importance to him. And each of the 18 movements considers a different aspect of Holy Communion, be it the theology of it or the relationship between communion and the believer, and so on and so forth. And every movement is provided with some quotations, which perhaps were Messiaen's starting point or its inspiration in each instance. In the case of the particular movement I want to look at today, there are two quotations, both from the Bible, though not always are these quotations from the Bible. They're quite often from theological books and so on and so forth. Things that have really struck Messiaen as he's done his research and done his thinking. So the movement I want to look at first, last time was the introduction, this time I'm going to look at a particular movement, is movement 7. The Risen and the Light of Life is the translation of the title. And the two quotations, one is Jesus saying, "I am the light of life," and the other one is Jesus saying, "Those who eat my flesh and drink my blood will be risen by me on the last day," to paraphrase. In other words, people who take communion, believers. So he's talking about Judgment Day, scary stuff, but let's, from Messiaen's point of view, this is something to celebrate, this is something to be really excited about. So the title, The Risen and the Light of Life, that is, people risen by Jesus on the last day, being with him, the light of life, on the last day. That's what this piece is concerned with. So, what does Messiaen do musically? The structure, it's a very simple structure actually, but whether I can explain it in just words without sort of drawing a graph for you or something, well, let's see. So, you have idea A, which bookends the piece. A appears completely unmodified twice. Then within those bookends there are 3 blocks of music which are the same every time in terms of structure but expanded in each instance, and those break down into 4 elements. So we'll call those B, C, D, E. So the structure you have therefore is A, then B, C, D, E, then we have B, C, D, E again in expanded form, then we have B, C, D, E a third time in much expanded form, and then A again at the end. Does that make sense? I hope so. I've just realised doing this in front of the camera I've gone backwards, haven't I? I should have put A there, then B, C, D, E. Never mind. You get the idea. So that is the structure of the piece. And A, the first musical idea, he uses communicable language, is what he calls it. Now, this is something I'll explain more in my next vlog. I'm going to talk about communicable language and what it is, but it's an essential part of Messiaen's musical language, in his later period anyway. And so what he does here is he spells out the word resurrection. That's all communicable language is, in essence. It's the spelling out of words in music. So he spells out resurrection, which fortunately for me and my terrible French is the same in French as in English. I've just pronounced it in the English manner, and if I was to try and pronounce it in the French manner, it would come out in the English manner also. So something else I need to work on is my French. Anyway, here it is. Here's how it opens. Piece ends in exactly the same way. Like I said, bookends. So that's just spelling out the word resurrection. So this is the theme of the piece. The light of life. Well, immediately we have a little flash of light. Simple as that. Second time it comes round, in the next block, it comes back expanded very simply by being repeated. And I don't want to patronise you, when it happens a third time, he plays it 3 times. There we go, flashes of light. Followed by some tremolando chords with pedal notes underneath. Very profound. And then we have another flash of light. And then get this. That is the briefest of brief tours through the sort of structure of the piece, if you like. I utterly love utterly love those moments in Messiaen's writing, he does it so often, where you have this ratcheting up of the drama and of the tension, and eventually a huge major chord, as you've just heard. Now, that's the structure of the piece. I just wanted to say a word about the challenges of learning it just before I finish. So, firstly, those tremolo chords that I played, I'm actually finding them quite difficult to practice on this organ. I don't know whether it's the sort of springs and the keys, it's possibly there's some tension going on here. I feel like it would be easier on a mechanical action. Shame I'm not going to be performing it on a mechanical action, but there we go. So there's something to think about there. I think I need to make sure that my arms are nice and loose. I mean, you know, if you've played a chorale prelude with a little trill in it, and you've struggled with that particular trill, it might be that there's tension in your hands or in your wrists. So I'm concerned that there's that issue going on here with me. The other problem with this piece, in terms of difficulty, is those flashes of light. Not the little one, not that, but the bigger ones. They involve playing sort of in quite a flat-fingered sort of a way on the black notes. That's an A sharp and a G sharp there. Then the thumb goes across D and E, and then we're back to the A sharp and the G sharp, and then a C sharp and a D sharp with 5 and 4. Try doing that, and you kind of almost have to play like that. Feels a bit strange, takes a bit of getting used to, and again, one has to think a bit about tension and control. The other thing about those particular bits that I've found quite difficult is that I find sometimes it's asking me to play very rapid chords with the weaker fingers, fingers 4 and 5, and getting them to behave independently and cooperatively is something that requires a little bit of slow practice and a little bit of care. And the third thing I'm working on, well, each of these little sections has a slightly different tempo, and I need each of these little sections to have its own personality and its own character. So I can't just start playing and play through and then finish and hope for the best. I have to think really carefully about pacing, and you've got to almost sort of change mode every time. You come out of the flourish into a new tempo. Similarly, you go into those flourishes straight out of the difficult tremolanto chords I just mentioned, and then straight into. It's quite difficult to make the adjustment. So actually, some of what I'm going to be practicing in this piece, as I bring it up to a state of being complete and ready to be performed, one of the things I'm going to be working on is how I manage the silences between sections. That's something I'm going to be talking about a lot during this vlog, is silence, I have to say. But it's not just the management of the lack of sound, it's also what I'm doing physically. I need to make sure I'm nice and calm, and then going into the next idea, without making the whole thing sound stilted or like I lack confidence. It's got to, have plenty of energy. Anyway, there we go. I've spoken for quite long enough, I'm sure. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an in into movement 7, one way or another. Any thoughts? Let me know. Email me at the RCO, even if you just think this is dreadful and want me to stop. Anyway, yes, episode 3, Communicable Language, will be up next week. See you then.